live, raw, and completely free. It's the Extended Play Podcast with Ian Tank.
Welcome back to the Extended Play Podcast with Ian Tank. We are a music discussion show without the hipster snobbery. And today we're going to revisit a topic we talked about in the our very first season.
First season might have been episode 3 or 4.
Okay, which is the live concert experience. And we've done a few concert reviews, and we'll review a concert that we both recently attended as well in today's show. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please tell your friends about the Extended Play Podcast.
And then hit the bell.
Yeah, the bell will tell you when we have a new video coming out, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't always just drop on Wednesdays or Thursdays. You never know when we're coming after you. That's right. But yeah, anyway, we're going to talk about the live concert experience. I think particularly what it's like for us now. And I think, Tank, I know you wanted to talk a lot about the big shows, like stadium level.
Yeah.
Whereas most of my experience comes from seeing small club type stuff.
Yeah, we definitely, I think you tend to be amphitheater and down.
Yeah.
I tend to be amphitheater and up.
Yes.
For the kind of concerts I go to.
But regardless, there's been a lot of stuff in the news as well, which we'll get to about people's behavior at concerts. So we're going to get to all those topics today.
But it started off with, we went a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago. Maybe a month ago now.
So we went to go see Dave Matthews Band at Pine Knob here in the Detroit area, which if you're not familiar, is a pretty large amphitheater. It's summer only, but probably with lawn seating 16,000.
Yeah, I think so.
So pretty big amphitheater. We were pretty excited to go.
Yeah, we got lawn tickets, which we don't usually get. It's been a long time since we sat on the lawn.
Which
we'll talk
I think
about that
was
in a second.
Part of the problem as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, sure.
But it was, now granted, I was maybe the least excited of the group that we were with. I had just got back from Europe a couple days earlier, so I was dragging to begin with. So admittedly, much like the Waxahachie album review, I came in with due to physical circumstances, a negative bias. Nonetheless, it was a beautiful day. Weather was great.
Yeah, it was.
And, it's Dave Matthews Band. So I'm like, oh, you know what? There's so many fucking good songs he could play. I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Granted that we went into the venue late due to tailgating.
Yeah, and I wanted to say a little something about that. So we had a great tailgate experience. We were there with a few people that didn't know Dave Matthews like at all. Like maybe had heard ants marching. Maybe. They just wanted to go to hang out and do the tailgate thing, have a few drinks, whatever. We tailgated for a while, and I want to actually blame the late arrival on me personally, because I was I just was, I guess, smelling my own farts and thinking, oh, I'm going to look at setlist.fm and find out how long after the venue, after doors open, do they usually go on? And then we'll go in then.
Which we nailed it.
Except we had lawn seats.
But it was lawn seats.
So we had nowhere to stand.
Yeah.
We were almost on the other side of the hill where we couldn't see the stage.
Not just almost. We kind of were.
Yeah. And we ended up inching up. But yeah, I thought I was real smart, and it was not so smart.
Which is my biggest problem with lawn seats. It's not so much the distance from the stage, although that was an issue we'll get into.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, look, concert, you've taken enough of my fucking time.
Yeah.
Okay? The drive, the parking, the drive back, all this other shit. The concert itself, it's already a 4-hour commitment.
Absolutely.
Now you want me to add 1 or 2 hours in order to have a place to sit? Fuck you.
Right.
So yeah, we timed it exactly right to start the show.
Right.
But it was, okay, the price of that is you're at the very, 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 very back. Yeah, I know that's fair. That's democratic and everything.
Absolutely.
But I have no desire to be there when doors open, to put down a shitty blanket and then sit with no opening act, right?
No opening act.
Which, credit to Dave Matthews for that, because no one wants to see that shit.
No, that's true.
But nonetheless, doors open, it's like, oh, well, we got a spot. Now we're only 190 feet from the stage. Well, I got 2.5 hours to kill.
Right.
Fuck that.
But you know what? Yes, it is democratic, and we should have been where we were. And they should have aisles. They should just rope off aisles.
Yes.
So you can get up and down.
For safety, if nothing else.
Yeah, because people leave gaps in the crowd.
Yep.
And you could go stand there, but then you got to leap over someone's blanket. You don't know if they're coming back or they're not.
Yeah. Just again, shit that we didn't think about when we were 25. Right. But now it's like, it's the mess and the this and the that, and where's the AED and where's the fire escape?
Right. So speaking of our age, that's something that I wanted to say that really bummed me out about this show. And that's very more existential than it has anything to do with the music or the venue. And I'd actually seen the meme like a few weeks beforehand of like, it's like somebody at a Dave Matthews concert and they're looking around like confusedly and they're like wondering why there's so many old people at this show I went to, and then realizing it's Dave Matthews Band and I'm their same age.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like. And it was because it's not like you're going to, say, a Metallica show or somebody that plays more aggressive music. It's already jam band,
It's
hippie.
already adult rock to begin with.
Right. So the crowd response to a lot of this stuff isn't over the top. Add 20, 30 years on everyone's lives, and it's just so incredibly subdued as to be a huge bummer to me. And also just I'm like watching myself slowly die as I look up and down the hill at all these old people.
And by the way, I got bad knees, so I spent a lot of time sitting when everyone else was standing. And let me tell you this, the Dave Matthews Show is home to what has to be the largest collection of shitty leg tattoos I've ever seen.
You got a prime view of those.
Yeah, calf tattoos on men, thigh tattoos on women, all of which look like they were done way too hastily and by untalented artists, but they're just letting their freak flag fly.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a whole lot of eyefuls of stuff I didn't want to see. So yes, part of it was our fault in the sense that we got there so late. There's zero view of the stage.
Yeah, it was very poor.
This amphitheater is so big and our seats were so bad that we were eye level with the top of the shed.
Yes.
So basically we were flat with the little screens. Emphasis on the little.
They were way smaller than I remember.
Hey, Pine Knob, can you do more than slap some 65-inch HD TVs up there? Because we're a fucking quarter mile away.
They were surprisingly small.
Yeah, and Lofi.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
No excuse to not have a 200-foot long TV on top of the shed.
Absolutely.
Zero.
Absolutely.
Because again, it's not like tickets are cheap.
Yeah. No, they're not.
Go fuck yourself, Pine Knob. All the years that we gave you the benefit of the doubt and called you Pine Knob when you were DTE Energy Theater, and this is how you thank us.
Right.
Looks like the place hasn't been updated since fucking...
There's literally nothing different that I could tell. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a venue,
Yeah.
Thankfully, little thing at the top of the hill for like snacks and refreshments. But anyway.
Oh, that was nice.
So that all definitely plays a big part. I have no doubt, and I said it to E later that night, like if we were in the pavilion, I'm sure it would have been a very different experience.
I think so too.
Where you have a clear view of the band. I'm sure the sound is better, and there's less distractions. When you're out on the lawn, there's always including when some lady ran up and said, "Is anyone a doctor?"
Oh,
remember that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Early in the show, just eating my fucking pretzel, and some woman comes running in a frantic after stopping to check with some other people and saying, "Is anyone here a nurse or a doctor?" Okay, now, I don't know what happened. It turns out, by the way, a follow-up person was fine. They fainted or something.
Like heat stroke, probably.
Yeah. All I know is if something happens to someone I love at a large facility, my strategy isn't, you know what, I'm not going to go to the front. I'm not going to call 911. I'm going to run through the crowd of the Dave Matthews Band.
Right.
Now, granted, it could be worse. It's not like it's a Guar concert.
Right.
But still, oh my God, we need help.
Right.
I'm going to randomly run around and see if someone, take their word for it, that they're a doctor, instead of running to like the first aid tent.
To see someone with a bright orange t-shirt that says staff on it.
Right. Literally anything. Shit, go to one of the concession stands and say, I need help.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
That doesn't help. It's distracting. Yeah, especially when your line of sight is over the hill. You're like, oh, that must be the hill they ski on. Oh, look at those chairlifts. So, but on top of all that, to get to the actual concert experience, it was lame as fuck. And I really thought I couldn't go wrong, even though I didn't want to be there. With, there's so many
songs.
The set list was so poorly chosen.
Yeah, it started out it was like I can't remember what song was it so much to say. It was actually a hit that started out.
Yeah.
But to me and my friend, we all reflected because we went with a big group. We reflected afterwards. I didn't know if it was just the gummies that was slowing everything down, but the entire set seemed sluggish, and even the tempo of the song seemed half a measure behind, or I don't know. That's not the appropriate term, but you know what I mean. The tempo was just off,
and the people in the band. And I don't even know who's in it, who's not anymore.
Well, that's a good point.
But there's zero charisma. First of all, Dave Matthews is not the most charismatic guy to begin with.
But he is. In interviews, he's very charismatic.
Funny,
and he's funny.
He's funny, but not in a way that translates in a live environment.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
He's a good interview.
Yeah.
But not exactly a front man.
Yeah. But no, the lineup was actually...
I'm going to pull up the set list, by the way.
Okay, yeah. Well, while he's talking about that, I'll get into the lineup. So if you're a fan or not a fan of Dave Matthews, so... The band is almost completely different than it was when it started out. There's 3 original members that are still there. It's Dave, the bass player, who was really fucking full of himself and thought he was really awesome, and the drummer. Who was great. They kicked out the fiddle. They have a fiddle player, which is one of their trademarks, is that they would have these fiddle solos in their songs. like no other sort of rock band out there. They kicked him out maybe 10, 20 years ago for inappropriate behavior like grooming. And then the saxophone player died a while ago, and they replaced him with 2 horn players. So there's a trumpet player and a saxophone player. And then they actually added some other brass instruments as well. They replaced the fiddle sections with keyboard. There was also a keyboard player. So when it was time for a fiddle solo, you got that cheesy, janky keyboard sound. Like it just sounded so, just so amateurish. Like there are no fiddle players that are willing to go on tour with the Dave Matthews Band.
Right.
They sell out every show.
Right.
Just go.
So set list, Pantala, Naga Pampa.
Granny, just instrumental.
Right. Granny, Pig, Walk Around the Moon.
That's a rough start.
Yeah.
I like Granny, but
JTR, Virginia in the Rain.
Jesus.
Don't Drink the Water. So you're at track 7 before anyone but I'd say pretty hardcore fans are tuned in.
Yes.
Lover Lay Down, Again and Again, Drunken Soldier, Crush. So now you're on track 11 before a second easily recognizable
and it's a slow song.
Yes. Digging a Ditch, So Much to Say, which, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone Seen the Bridge, Too Much, Let's Dance, David Bowie cover. That's when I left.
Yeah, and that was like...
It was already towards the end of the show. Yeah. I knew I was going to avoid traffic, and I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. If we're doing Bowie covers, and then So Damn Lucky, Break Free, what would you say track 19? The one that I kind of was waiting for. I did miss it. And then Rapunzel at track 20. Oh, I'm sorry. Encore, Just Breathe, and a Pearl Jam cover, and All Along the Watchtower. Yeah. So 22 songs total, but poorly paced and spaced, at least for the first 16 that I was there. I can't comment on the last 6.
But so many slow songs in there. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really rough.
Disappointing, and which leads to the greater point of, okay, the live experience and what you're paying for and what you're getting.
Right.
So I think I have a good place to start on that.
Yeah, sure.
And that is, so I'm a numbers guy. So I was very curious. It feels, and I like to, because without data, it's just an opinion. But it feels like going to a concert is so much more a financial commitment than it used to be. That it seems like when we were teenagers and in our 20s, going to a concert was entirely a matter of, do you like this band and do you want to spend a night doing this?
Yes.
There was zero financial decisions to be made.
You didn't have to say, if I go to this, I can't go to a show next month.
It was like, so-and-so's in town, this is the date, do you want to go? And you would go, do I want to see them? Because the tickets were probably $30 or $40.
We went to a lot of shows of bands we didn't even really particularly care for.
But now it's like, you can't just say yes to everything. No. So anyway, so that was my feeling. So I looked to see if there was some data to back it up. Yeah. And sure enough, there is. So I think the best metric or the best way to present it is if you go by average ticket prices versus minimum wage. And I say minimum wage because concerts are a young man's game. We just talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? If old people go to concerts, they're usually sitting down. There's a program involved, and Yanni is probably there.
Well, or it's a nostalgia act.
Right. It's an Elton John thing.
And they'll pay $500 for a ticket.
Exactly. Yeah. Tickets are $10,000.
Right.
So, but for the most part, concerts are a young man's game, and it's people that don't have a very high income that are the biggest fans because music is an outlet for them. There's all kinds of reasons why.
Sure. Right. I think that's fair.
Minimum wage is relevant when it comes to concert ticket experience. And by the way, I went on a fun rabbit hole on minimum wage. Oh. State versus federal.
Okay.
Do you know that the federal minimum wage has not increased since 2009?
No, I did not know that.
Thanks, Washington. Yeah. It's still under $10.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Since 2009. 15 years, no movement. Now,
it's pretty much every state higher than that.
Every state's different.
Okay.
Michigan is 10.33.
Okay.
Like Alaska is like 15.
Okay.
Anyway, so if we go back to 1996, which is somewhat arbitrary, but also about the time we were
in college, so we were
that's like
going to a lot of shows.
Minimum wage, again, depends on what fucking state and what you were doing, blah blah blah. But minimum wage was $4.75.
Okay.
The average concert ticket, and I'm very happy I was able to find this data because the question of what is an average concert ticket, how the fuck do you even go about finding that, right? Polestar publishes their top 100 tours every year.
Okay.
So this is the average of the top 100 tours, which is perfect.
Got it.
Because we agree that the cost to go see a garage band in a local dive bar is probably not that much different, right? It was probably $5 then and $10 now.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, that's fair.
We're talking like destination shows, like call up all your friends, mark it on the calendar 3 months from now kind of shows.
Yeah.
Anyway, so minimum wage in 1996, $4.75. Average concert ticket, $25.81.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
Going to a concert, upper bowl seats, $30-$40. Let's go.
It's a day's work.
It is
an 8-hour day.
5.43 hours of minimum wage work.
Okay.
So if you're a minimum wage worker, you work 6 hours at Arby's, you're like, that paid for my Dave Matthews Band ticket.
Amazing.
All right.
That seems like a good value.
Right. Now, I know you can't really see it here, so I'm not going to torture you. And I'll send you the data. Maybe we'll do a little custom graph and post. But either way, it increased steadily. Surprise.
Yeah.
Until 2008, it reached $67. And then it had a pretty big drop, or it was an anomaly that it did drop going into 2010, but that was the financial crisis.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right? They had to adjust.
Yeah.
Went down to 61 and then kept going up again. There was a huge drop, probably due to COVID, of course, in 2021. But, I mean, look at that from after 2021 on the far right there. So in 2024, for the first quarter of the year, the exact same metric, Polestar Top 100, guess the average ticket price.
$85.
$123.25.
Wow. Average?
$123.25. Average.
That just seems like a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And so minimum wage in 2024, state of Michigan, I'm sure it's similar to wherever you're watching this, is $10.33. So it's 11.9 hours of work.
So more than double.
More than double the amount of work.
God.
So you can't say inflation because we're talking about hours of work.
Right.
So adjusted for inflation, twice as expensive. And then what are you getting? Okay, so, and Ian and I talked about this offline the other day. When you went to a concert in 1990, fucking whatever,
96,
right?
like we were saying earlier, yeah.
There were zero questions on what you were going to see. You were going to see a band play live. And the performance was going to be front and center, and it was about the music, blah, blah, blah. If you go today, and I'm not trying to get off my lawn, all this shit.
Yeah.
You have legitimate questions on, am I seeing this live? Are the vocals live? Are they backtracked? Are they double tracked? Are they lip syncing? Are the musicians live?
Right.
Are they using auto-tune?
Right.
There are so many questions of what am I even paying to see? And that's not just being cynical. I mean, the famous Motley Crue clip from last summer where Tommy Lee's drums start playing while he's still off on the side. Like what? And I get it too. Like and I'm sure they would argue, and they're probably right. We're just trying to make a better experience for the concert goer. We can't be perfect all the time.
Right.
You can still hear us playing. It's just a little bit of help to make it better.
Yeah, sure.
Well, okay. But when do you stop leaning on that to where it's just, I'm in the crowd listening to an album?
Right.
Right. So, and on top of that, I think as technology, LEDs and so forth, lasers, whatever, has gotten better, it's become less and less about the music and more about the spectacle.
Okay.
Which, again, if you want to pay for that, great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some people that are into that for sure.
But it's like, I think you can make a very meaningful case that the concert experience is worse than it was. And in return, you're paying double.
Well, and there are a number of reasons why it's worse. I absolutely agree with that. And then the kind of, when I was doing research, the way I looked at it was from a crowd perspective. And just, this does sound like old man, get off my lawn, but it is not. It is reality. An artist, a lot of this feedback is coming from artists, that the fans are acting a fool more often than not, particularly at these large shows of incredibly popular artists. So the list of people in the last few years that have been hit by flying objects on stage is incredible. And it just keeps happening. Morgan Wallen, Drake. Well, yeah.
So far, so good.
Tyler, the Creator. BB Rexa got hit in the face with a phone and had a huge black eye and had to get stitches. And then she got hit later with something else. They asked the person, why did you throw the phone? They said, the guy said, I thought it'd be funny. What a piece of shit. And if it was a singular event, I'd go, oh yeah, it's one idiot. It's not. The list goes on. Harry Styles, 2 or 3 shows on one tour got hit with stuff. Kane Brown, Kelsey Ballerini, Death Grips. Now, if you're getting to sort of loud, aggressive music and you're playing in a club, if it's hardcore, people are knocking you over practically on stage.
It's turnstile. Someone's getting hit.
Right. But Death Grips, they had to walk off stage. I don't know if it was this year or last year. People kept throwing shit at them. And eventually guys I'm not doing this anymore.
No.
It's unacceptable behavior. So between that kind of stuff, which is absolutely insane, the cell phone experience. So I am tall enough that I can see over the heads of pretty much everybody wherever I'm at. 6'4", 6'5". So I try to be conscious of it, not stand in front of people if I don't have to that are smaller than me. So I can see over the people holding their phones. But if you are a person of an average height,
like me,
you're getting now people who are now 1.5 feet, 2 feet taller than they normally would.
Yep.
You're looking through a sea of phones.
Yep.
What are you doing with that fucking concert
You're
footage?
not going to watch it. I think a good cutoff is if you leave a concert with less than 5 minutes of footage.
Absolutely.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
A fun part is coming up. You want to capture the vibe, little something to jog your memory later.
Right.
But the entire fucking song?
Yeah.
Let the professionals do it.
Absolutely. And this is all wrapped up in this concert experience. So I have no doubt that the artists themselves feel pressure to add these extra things to their performance because people are watching concerts at home beforehand.
Yeah.
Where they have the opportunity to see what you're like live.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to the record and you're like, oh, I think I want to go see whoever live, then you go to YouTube and you check out a concert video. And if they sound shitty, you're not going.
Right.
And so I have no doubt that is all tied together. So that's fan behavior that I cannot stand. And big up to, and I know people hate it, like Jack White, there are a handful of people that say, you know what, put your cell phone in a fucking bag before you come in.
Yeah.
You're not recording it. It's not because I'm so protective over this material. It's because it's not a good experience for the
As
fans.
evidenced by giving his album away for free.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Someone who cares about fans. Right.
Right.
And then the final one that really chaps my ass is the singing along.
That's bad.
Which I read an article and I couldn't find it right before we went to air, but it has become a phenomenon of the current generation, age generation of concert goers to sing along every single song in a show and sing along loudly to the point where artists have been coming out and like, getting in their notes app and then posting it on their social media like, hey, could you guys quiet down? Like at their own show saying it's not a good concert experience because you're drowning out the sound of the actual music.
Right.
I thought it was charming at first. I remember a particular, there was when MTV Unplugged was a thing.
Dashboard Confessional?
Dashboard Confessional. Everyone loved it. It was like a very charming thing. There's this one guy in an acoustic guitar and there's all these emo kids sitting crisscross applesauce on the ground and singing along and getting emotional with every word of these songs. And they were songs that were built to be sing-along songs, which a lot of these pop songs are, for sure. But I don't go to a concert to hear other people sing. I go to hear the artist sing.
Yeah.
And we've gone on record as saying one of the best parts about the live experience is the community aspect, is being with other people who are fans of the music and feeling that vibe together. And you think that would bolster it. It doesn't. It actually very much takes it away.
Well, because it's a communal experience when the band tells you to sing.
Yes.
It's not a communal experience when they're up there trying to sing a verse and the jabroni next to you. Right. Like I will, my favorite part of the Metallica live experience, and I was excited that the night that E went, they did it, is, in Creeping Death, there's a famous breakdown that they know that they're going to do a breakdown. They're going to bring down everything with the bass and the crowd's going to chant, die, die. I know he's not a fan of the content, but it's everyone who's been to a Metallica show.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a highlight, right?
Yeah.
And you know it's coming and you wait for it.
Yeah.
And it's all the better because everyone is saving their singing along for that part.
Yeah, sure.
Or, every now and then, every fucking rock act, like, let me hear you. Or like, you do the chorus.
Right.
That's the fun part.
Yes.
But especially if it's a slower song or like a ballad and it's like, hey, Lucy, fucking no one wants to hear you. And I'm sure you have a story and I'm sure Chad dumped you last week and you need to get it out.
Right. You have a connection with it.
But this ain't the place.
No. Bands that do it well are like, I know Coldplay does sing-alongs, and like when I went to see Radiohead, they did a sing-along. They do Karma Police, and they do For a Minute There, I Lost Myself. But they do the whole song, and they sing that part, and then they extend the song another how many ever bars. That's the way to do it. And then they let everybody do the sing-along, and do it as a closing thing for like everyone to feel warm and fuzzy when they go out to the parking lot. But yeah, that is really rough, and it's becoming more and more of a thing. You watch these clips of Taylor Swift concerts, it is so loud. And there's so often where people are facing each other, singing the songs to one another when you want to see the spectacle. And it is a spectacle. Like, she has all the bells and whistles. Watch the stage. Yeah. It's just bizarre to me.
I wouldn't be surprised. And maybe I should fucking do this.
What's that?
Be a multi-billionaire. If Taylor Swift sing-alongs become a thing where
absolutely
no where Taylor's not even there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a thing.
If it's not, it should be. You could charge $50 a ticket. You throw some of these fucking Swifties in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Play the music, let them go crazy.
No, I think it is. I think it is a thing at bars.
Of course
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So all those things. Now, I wanted to add a couple positive notes about about the live experience lately. One, the Sphere thing is pretty fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
That it's got people really excited about live music again. They seem to be choosing the right artists to do this. They're getting their first electronic act, I think, right now, and that was only a matter of time. I'm sure those visuals will be insane.
Yeah, the Grateful, the Dead and Company or Dead and Friends one was...
Yeah, pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Fish did 4 nights.
Did you know...
Yeah.
Sorry, since you brought the Sphere up, though.
Go for it.
That I went down a rabbit hole of the building of it and its capabilities. So like the video screens and how much thought had to be done. They had to build their own camera.
Wow.
Because how do you record a Sphere? Right. So none of they tried like this, Frankenstein. It didn't work. So there's this legitimately custom made camera with a fish, like a giant bubble lens.
Wow.
So that's crazy enough about the resolution. It's actually only like not even 4K.
Oh, really?
But you're far enough away that it's amazing.
Sure.
But the sound, so they contracted the sound company. The sound comes from, it is like, I think 130,000 small speakers.
Oh my God.
Okay. The speakers are behind the screens. So you see screen everywhere. You're not going to see speakers because they're behind the screens. They have software. You know how like noise canceling works, where it's like there's a wavelength and noise canceling headphones would like make an opposite wavelength so it goes out to 0. They have it mapped, every seat in the house. They can send specific sounds to every seat. So they did, as an example, if they were doing like a convention, they could broadcast in English to one part and Spanish to the other part, and no one would hear anything else.
Incredible.
It's fucking crazy.
That's amazing.
And they did it where they have, so the screens are little bars of LEDs, and the speakers are behind it. So the sound, they had to work with the screen people because the sound has to pass through the screen.
Right. Sure.
It's fucking bonkers.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul who gave me all my Sphere information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, the fact that we're still thinking about how to revolutionize how we listen to music in a live environment, I think that's a positive sign.
But maybe the Sphere is the result of all we just talked about.
Maybe.
That to make it worthwhile,
it's got to be all of that, which again, so now I'm going to shit on my own positive statement. I wouldn't go to a show at the Sphere.
Depends on, you'd go with the right price.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would, because I don't want to go to a show and watch screens.
The really big screens, though.
I don't want to do it.
I can't go because I'm afraid I'll get vertigo.
Well, yeah, I would absolutely get vertigo. But like, I watched the clips of the Fish shows, and especially if you're high up, right? You're looking at their heads.
Yeah. They might as well not be there.
They might as well not be there. And I'm not interested in that. I want to see an actual person play.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, now someone who does not have that same problem is Drew Carey. Have we ever talked about Drew Carey on the show before? We have, right? Anyway, if you haven't, look it up. He had a great time at the Fish show at the Sphere.
Safe to say, he was happy, and he has a new blender.
That's right. Yeah. So that, again, something to be optimistic about. But I think this just reinforces why I'm going to be very thoughtful about the shows I choose to go to. One, because of the cost, and two, because of all these things of these sort of larger venues and larger shows. A club show is pretty much still a club show with phones.
Yes.
I feel like those bands also don't have a lot of sing-along type people at the show. So unless they're being asked to. So I'll continue to go to those kind of shows. But yeah, as far as something like Pine Knob, and particularly on the lawn, I don't think that's happening anytime in the near future. And we're nearing 50, so I guess it makes a certain amount of sense.
But but we're also of an age where we have the expendable income to be able to do this.
Well, that's true.
And we're not interested.
That sucks.
Right? Even from a value proposition, if to spend $200 to do something, you can get some pretty nice headphones for $200.
True.
So why not invest in something that you use every day, as opposed to this, you're next to some asshole singing, and you can't see the stage.
Right. Plus, we even get into the whole thing about how bands have been canceling tours.
Oh, that we didn't get into it, but honestly, good. Yeah, because here's the thing with these prices. So we're not even going to get into what's driving it. Obviously, greed, but by who? Probably the Live Nation, Ticketmaster. All this,
with
money
the lawsuits and all that stuff. Right. Yeah, sure.
But at the end of the day, the artist does have some say. So because you see it, I think it was The Cure. There are a handful of other bands that did cap pricing.
Yep.
And they always are going to have the power.
Yes.
I don't want to hear them bitching about, oh, well, they told us, fuck off, then don't tour. I know it's how they make money and everything, but they have a lot more, especially these big bands.
Yes.
It is incumbent on you to use your power. And all this stuff, too, about how they're getting rid of scalpers. And so to make it as brief as possible, it used to be that scalpers got their tickets and they sold them at a profit, sometimes took a loss, they didn't sell it. Now Ticketmaster is doing resale on their own site, but the artists love it because now they're getting a cut of that.
Oh, okay.
So the artists are all about this dynamic pricing.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So it's good that the artists are getting more, but it's also making them part of the problem now.
Right.
That now they have something to benefit from this pricing.
Right.
Instead of just being with the fans going, hey man, it sucks.
True.
So the entire thing needs to get torn down and rebuilt. They got too greedy. They pushed their luck. And I'm kind of glad these tours are getting canceled, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? It was like Black Keys, J-Lo, Weezer's canceling their Broadway show. There's a bunch of them where the ticket sales were just, they couldn't. And these are bands that should be able to sell out the venues that they were set to tour in.
Yes.
And they
Black Keys overshot with arenas.
Black Keys overshot, but yeah.
With arenas.
Yeah. But for the most part, like you would think these people could fill arenas and they can't.
But, and shout out to my boys. The reason why Metallica is pretty much the only surefire show that I'm going to go to. I feel like they take it seriously. They know you spent a lot of money. They put this impressive, and you saw it, the amount of production, video screens to give you something to watch without taking over the show.
Yes, absolutely.
And Lars is famous for, because they have such a catalog, been around so long, he literally sits down with every time they've been to that city.
That's so cool.
And he puts together a set list because they know a lot of these people came 10 years ago.
Right.
And the set list, they try to repeat as little as possible. I feel like they're still trying to give fans their money worth. And those bands are out there.
Yeah, they are, for sure.
Unfortunately,
Few and
even
far
Black
between.
Keys, if they wanted to, what the fuck are they going to do?
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
You need a certain presence, a certain gravitas, and a certain catalog to justify.
Yes.
Like Taylor Swift has the catalog.
She does.
There's just fewer and fewer artists that I think can even think about demanding that kind of money from you.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly.
I know. That's sad.
Oh, well.
Let us know what you think about the concert going experience. Is it just a matter of us being two old farts? I tend to think not, but it's totally possible. We're open to that opinion. Let us know what you think. Tell us about the last great show you saw. Have you heard this singing along? Does the phone thing bother you? Please let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back very soon with another episode. Getting right back into our countdown of the top
100
albums
of our lifetime.
Pretty good, huh?
All right.
All right.
Slick.
See you next time.
All right. See